Welcome to Project Transformation's Reading Buddy Training. We are so excited that you decided to join us this summer to be a reading buddy for the children at Project Transformation. Before we begin, we wanted to share with you a little bit about our organization so you can come to know and love PT Arkansas. Project Transformation's vision is that we envision a world that is rooted in love, pursues the equity of all people, and amplifies God's call on every life. Our mission at Project Transformation is to transform communities by engaging children, college-age young adults, and churches in purposeful relationships. What that looks like is that at Project Transformation, we host summer day camp programming for children in under-resourced communities, and we intentionally do this in local churches. We work with the churches to provide space for the program, and then we also work with college-age young adults from near and far to serve as the leaders of this program. Our college-age young adults work with the children each day to provide them a safe and supportive environment to learn and grow. Our main goals for Project Transformation are multitude, but two are that we improve reading for children in our program, and also that we engage them in social and emotional learning. Throughout the summer, you will get the opportunity to see Project Transformation in action. And again, we are so excited to welcome you this summer as we join together to do this very important work. Hi, I'm Reverend Sam Metters, and I'm the Executive Director of Project Transformation here in Arkansas. Now that you know a little bit about our program, I wanted to share a little bit more about our goals and the pillars that we stand by. Our program goals are that students develop in their literacy skills. We also want them to build relationships, both with the interns who are supporting them throughout the summer, as well as with you as a reading buddy. We also want to introduce all of the kids in our program to God's love through the love of the church and through the love of our volunteers and interns. Which brings us to our 4 pillars. Our program at Project Transformation strives to cultivate leadership, serve community, celebrate diversity, and develop literacy. Now, we believe that change happens and that transformation occurs through relationship. And so that's the biggest reason why you're here. We could impact students in a variety of ways, but because we believe that relationships really matter, we invite you to be a part of that process with us. That transformation occurs when people build those relationships. We also know that when it comes to literacy development, that biggest challenge to overcome is simply in building confidence. And there's no better way to build confidence than to do so with a trusted and loving and caring adult. And so we want you as a reading buddy to support these pillars, to support these goals by helping to support skill building and encouraging our children to become lifelong learners and lifelong readers. You may be asking yourself, why reading? Why literacy development? Why is that a focus of Project Transformation? And the reality is that reading is such an important skill for all people. I mean, just imagine how difficult it would be for you to travel to another country, to a region that you don't know the language, much less how to read all the signs. How would you navigate the world? Well, reading is so important to not only children, but to adults. It's so important that we gain those skills so that we can help develop and help build our communities. Now, reading and literacy development in Arkansas is difficult, right? We know that 2 out of 3 of the kids in our state in the 4th grade are not reading proficiently by that grade level. And that comes from a variety of factors, but that number increases when you look at students who are coming from under-resourced communities. And so Project Transformation is truly attempting to step in and fill that gap. We know that students who are experiencing difficulty in reading by the third grade, that they're 4 times less likely to graduate from high school. And so it's really important to be reading on grade level by third grade or thereabouts. And here's what happens at that point. In the third grade, you go from learning to read, so learning how to make sounds, how to understand what a word says and how to sound it out, to using reading in order to learn, right? If you think about those word problems in math or reading your history or social studies textbooks, you know how important reading can be. And so we really want students to be able to go into their classrooms confidently in the fall, which means that they need this support during the summer months. You see, summer is a time when a lot of students, wherever they are, they can experience what we call the summer slide, which is a loss of reading skills and even math skills that can happen over the course of those months of summer. It's estimated that students can lose 20% of what they learned over the course of the school year in just the summer months. But here's the good news, is that it only takes reading less than 20 minutes a day for students to avoid that summer slide. And so Project Transformation offers that opportunity to the children who are a part of our program. They get to come in and read with volunteers and read on their own. And through that, we hope to avoid that summer reading loss. Our goal for this summer is for every child in our program to have a trusted adult, a reading buddy that they see every day. And so with your help, we can make that happen. And we're so excited that you're going to be a part of this summer. So let's get down to reading and our reading program. You'll be matched when you come with a child entering 1st to 5th grade. And your invitation will be to help them where they are with the skills that they need to build. And so let's talk about the skills that we need in order to read. Reading has 5 pillars. And those 5 pillars are phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. Phonemic awareness is the understanding that words are comprised of different sounds. So phonemic awareness actually happens before you even start reading. It's the idea that when you encounter a word or someone saying a word like cat, that you can break it down into the different sounds. So I invite you to try with me now. Cat. What is the first sound that you hear? K. That is phonemic awareness. If I ask you for the second one, you might have to say it again. Cat. Then you could realize that second sound is a And where do you hear the t, t? Oh yeah, that's at the end of the word. So putting all of those together is understanding that each part of that word has a different sound to it. Now that brings us into phonics, right? Because phonics is not just understanding the sounds of a word, but being able to put those sounds to a letter, right? And so we may look at a letter like B and be able to understand that letter corresponds to the sound B, right? And so as we're looking at that, we may be able to then think about how all of our letters come together. That is using phonics, right? So we encourage you to use phonemic awareness to help build phonics, and we'll have some flashcards and different activities that you can do if the children that you're working with need that kind of support. The other ways that you can support the kids at Project Transformation this summer is simply by working on vocabulary and fluency. So, of course, vocabulary is just being exposed to a variety of words. We really want children to experience and see books with a lot of different words, words that they don't know and words that they do. And so we want you to help them build their vocabulary. If they come across a word that they don't know, we invite you to stop, to take a moment and to help them think through what that word might mean. As you're reading along with them, you may come across words that you don't know. Well, you have access to all kinds of ways to figure out what that word means. And you might be curious about where it came from and what it functions as in the sentence. And so you can do all of that work together with the kids that you're reading with. We also invite you to help students with their fluency. Fluency is simply the ability to read with speed, with accuracy, and with the proper expression. Now, for some of our students, fluency is best learned by listening to the story read. And so one of the ways that you might practice this through being a reading buddy is that you may invite your student to read a page, and then you might read the next page. That way they can hear the fluency with which you read, and then they can practice it on their own in their book. So we encourage you to practice that fluency. The last piece that really brings all of this together is comprehension, right? Knowing what was read, understanding what it is about, that a child read is so, so important for them to be able to truly be a strong reader. And so throughout your time with Project Transformation, we will have tips and tricks and sheets that will help you with pre-reading questions, during reading questions, and post-reading questions, so that you can kind of determine if students are understanding what is going on in what they're reading. Now, part of comprehension is not just did they understand it, but can they make good guesses, right? And so we ask for them to work on their prediction skills, as well as understanding what's going on while they're reading and after they're reading. All of these things together, all 5 of these pillars of reading, make for great readers. And so we invite you to use those skills as best you can this summer. When you arrive to volunteer for your first time, we invite you to come just a little bit early. We want you to make sure that you know where to park, what door to use, make sure that you get to the place where you're going to be reading and find out where all of the amenities are so that you can be as comfortable and as acquainted with this space as possible. Now, when you arrive, you'll be paired with a student. They can be a first grader who's just learning how to read, or perhaps a 5th grader who's working on the latest Harry Potter book. You never know at Project Transformation. But regardless of where they are, they will come, with them will come a Reading Buddy folder. And so we really want you to use this Reading Buddy folder. Within the folder, there'll be a tips and tricks sheet, which just gives you some great ideas of ways that you can help with reading or help encourage a student to read if they aren't doing so well. It'll also come with those pre, during, and post questions that I talked about in terms of comprehension. But the biggest piece for us is that you will also receive a reading log. Now, in this reading log, we ask that you put your name, your child's name, as well as what books they read. So they may read just one book all summer, and that is fine if it's a chapter book. But if they're reading multiple books, you'll write each of those books down. We also ask that you write the level of the book in your folder as well. On your reading log, there will be a space, and that's simply found on the spine of the book. There's a sticker with a color. So you might have to take a moment to look and see what that color is called, but it could be light green or dark green, yellow, red, all the colors of the rainbow. And so we invite you to put that color in the folder as well. The last thing that we want you to do is determine how well the child that you read with was able to read their book. So we ask that you determine one of 3 things. Maybe that book was too easy. Maybe they flew through all of the pages and they knew all of the words. And if that's the case, you can write that in that section. Maybe the book was just right. They read it at a good pace. They knew most of the words, but we're still learning some new words, or struggled a bit, but it wasn't too difficult to manage. On the other hand, the book may have been really, really hard, very difficult for them. And so if that's the case, that's all right. But maybe you had to read most of the book. They couldn't work on it today. It was just too much for the student. And so we invite you in those situations to also write that down. The last thing I'll say is if you noticed anything about the student that you were partnered with, we also invite you to take notes on that. So maybe they shared with you that something was going on at home today, or they were having a hard time paying attention or sitting still. All of these are normal things, but if you notice that they love butterflies or they adore books about unicorns or sports, we encourage you to write that down so that the next volunteers who come after you will be able to see that as well. All of this said, we absolutely need your support in filling out these reading logs accurately. So we want to know how many books are read at the end of the summer and how well our students are doing throughout. So if a student is just breezing through all of their books, we certainly want to increase the level at which they're reading so that they're reading harder books over the next few weeks. But if it's been really difficult, we also want to see what's going on. What kind of things may be happening at home, or what's going on that reading has just been a struggle right now, right? Do we need to pare back and go down to some easier books for them? All of this said, the biggest piece of reading at Project Transformation is truly building relationships. Reading is an avenue at which we get to build relationships with the kids in our program. And so we really want you to take an affirmative effort in building relationships with the kids. Please introduce yourself, get to know them, get to know what kinds of things they like and they enjoy. And we hope that each time they see you throughout this summer, that you'll get the opportunity to work with them and to be together and to build the relationships that make such a difference. Because ultimately, we love to read when others love to read with us. And so that is how we're going to build lifelong learners at Project Transformation. Again, we so appreciate you coming and being a part of our program this summer. What you might notice is that Project Transformation is just a little bit different from other programs. We approach our students, our discipline policies, as well as everything that we do with a holistic approach. So we encourage you to enter into Project Transformation this summer with a spirit of curiosity and wonder. We want you to recognize that we are working to empower young adults and college students to be leaders. And so in the opportunities that they have to lead children, we invite you to let them do that. We want them to have the ownership and the power to do the work that they are being called to do with Project Transformation and with the kids who are enrolled in our program this summer. You'll notice that Project Transformation may look a little different than what you've seen in perhaps school or even in church. Some of the ways that PT is different is that we approach things with social emotional learning is one of our goals. And so we really are encouraging children to understand self-regulation. We also are working on our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And so we talk a lot about racial disparities, inequality, as well as just the needs for us to make sure that we have Black, Indigenous people of color who are represented in our books and in our stories. I'll also tell you that we use restorative practices as opposed to punitive ones. So sometimes you may see something happening in a classroom and wonder, why are they not just taking that kid out? Why are they not calling a parent? Well, we understand that all of what we do is based on relationships. And so we're always working to build and maintain those relationships between young adults and children, between children and each other. And so it may look just a little different. We also approach everything that we do through the lens of trauma-informed care. We know that the children in our program have likely experienced adverse childhood experiences. And so we really want to be aware of their needs emotionally and physically and spiritually. And so we approach everything that we do understanding that trauma may be at the root of it. And we encourage you in all of this, if you have questions, if you see things that are going on that make you wonder why we're doing what we're doing, please talk to some of our interns, talk to our staff, even some of our church members, so that they can tell you a little bit about what we are seeing, how we're learning, and how we're encouraging both children and young adults to be together and build community and build relationships. Again, your curiosity, your wonder are so appreciated as we encourage and empower young people to be who God has called them to be. Before you go, thank you so much for completing this training. To let us know that you've done this work, we ask that you send an email or a text message to the number or email address on the screen and let Reverend Metters know that you have completed it. In that email or text, we ask that you say your favorite Olympic sport. This summer's theme is Let the PT Games Begin. We are so grateful to you for doing this work, for being willing to read, and we can't wait to see you this summer. Thank you so much.